Hi, it's Wendy. Have you always wanted to learn how to crochet? This is a great time to get started. Why not pick up a new hobby that is great for creativity and mental health and just a lot of fun? You'll need a crochet hook, maybe a 5 or 5.5 millimeter or 6 millimeter, something in that range, and a number 4 or 5 weight yarn. Make sure that your yarn is a simple light color and smooth. You don't want any fuzzy blanket yarn or multicolored yarn as a beginner. This yarn is called Bernat Maker, and it's great for practicing because it allows you to see your stitches. The first thing we're going to do is make a slip knot. Now a slip knot is simply a loop, like so. Fold your yarn around. Then, putting your fingers into the loop, grab the yarn that leads to the ball. Hold on to the two other ends while you pull on the loop, and you'll see that it looks like a knot around this piece of yarn that leads to the ball. And when you pull it snug, it looks like that. And it's called a slip knot because you can pull on the end that leads to the ball and it makes the loop smaller. Then put your hook in there. You're going to feel like you're all thumbs at first, and it's tricky to figure out how to control both the hook and the yarn and everything, but I'll show you a couple of strategies. The way I like to do it is to put the yarn over my first and third finger and under the second finger, and then I pinch the tail between my thumb and my first finger, like so. Then when I pick up the yarn, I put the hook from the front through the yarn underneath to the back. You'll want to make sure that the hook part grabs onto the yarn when you pull it back through, and that makes a chain. Then I move my finger and thumb up to hang on to that chain. I go from front to back under the yarn and pull another one through. You don't want to pull this loop on the hook too tight because then you won't be able to get the yarn through it. Another way that people often hold the yarn is to pinch it between their thumb and middle finger, and they hold their first finger up like this. And again, scooping from the front, pick up the yarn, turn the hook down so that it's pointing to the bottom of your loop, and pull it through. Some people prefer to hold the hook this way with an underhand hold. I prefer to hold it overhand like so. So this is called a chain stitch. And each time you want to move your fingers up so you're controlling this chain by hanging on to it. If it gets too long like this, flopping around, you'll just get frustrated because you won't have control. And because I have the yarn under and over my fingers, it provides some tension. It's not just flopping around. So practice making a chain like that. And each time I'm pulling it through, trying to keep the size consistent, not making the loops too big like that. If you find it gets too big, just tug on the yarn to snug it up again. Each time pointing the hook to the bottom of the chain where it comes together here and pulling it through. Once you've practiced the chain for a while and you feel comfortable, just set it down and have a look. It should look like a row of little V's, like so. The back side has little bumps running down the center and looks like that. To count your chains, just count each one of those little V's. So I have 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. The loop on your hook does not count. To start your first row of single crochet stitches, we're going to start in this second V from the hook. This first one is going to be our stepping up stitch. We're going to start in this second one. So at the end of this row, my 15 chains will turn into 14 stitches because this first one becomes my turning chain. So put your hook into the top half of that second V, so just under that top loop, okay, like so. And again, controlling it by holding on to the chain here. Pick up the yarn, pull it back through so that you have 2 loops on your hook. Then yarn over again, hanging on to it right here, pull back through those 2. Now you've made a single crochet. It's got 2 little legs here and a top stitch that looks like a V. So that stitch we've worked into, we're going to go on to the next stitch. Into the work, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, into the work, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, into the work, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So you see how each single crochet has 2 steps. The first step, you just pick up 1 loop and then you pull through both of those loops. And I just shift my thumb and my finger down the chain as I go, keeping good control so that it's not flopping all over the place, and keeping some tension so that my stitches are even but not pulling really tight. If you find after your first row that it kind of curves in a letter C, it's probably because you made your chain tight. It's very common for beginners. Don't worry about it, just carry on or start over. We're just learning, so it doesn't matter. The last stitch is right before this little knot at the end here. You can see my last V is right there. So I'll work my last single crochet in that stitch. And there is 1 row. You can see across the top I've got a nice little row of V's, and that's going to be the stitches that I'll work into for the next row. Now going up to the next row is where a lot of people get confused. We're going to do a step up or a turning chain to get to this next row. So just make 1 chain by putting your hook under the yarn and making a single chain stitch like so. Then, like turning the page of a book, turn your stitches over, arrange your yarn around your fingers, and we're going to start row 2. Now this is the loop on my hook. This next one is my chain 1 that I just did to step up to the next row. So I'm going to leave that one alone, and I'm going to work into this second V away from the hook. So putting my hook under both sides of the V, like so, make another single crochet by drawing up a loop through, yarn over, and go through 2. So there's my first stitch in the next row. Looking at it from this side, I'm going to put my hook between these 2 crossways loops here, underneath both sides of the V if you look at it from the top. Drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Into the work, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Into the work, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Continuing that same way all the way down the row. And don't worry if it doesn't look super even, it will get better with practice. And I keep control by shifting my fingers so that they're always close to the stitch where I'm putting my new stitch. When you get to the end, you'll see there's 1 more V to go. That's my last stitch there. Now I'm going to step up to the next row in the same way. Chain 1. Flip it over like the page of a book. Starting in the second V from the hook, draw up a loop, make a single crochet. If you have trouble figuring out what's your last stitch in the row, you can take a stitch marker after you do that very first stitch and put it in that stitch so that when you come back, you'll know that's your last stitch in the row. Continue down the row in the same way, putting your hook between these crossways stitches under both sides of the V, picking up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. And there you have it, you're crocheting. Give it a try. I'm sure you'll get hooked. And once you've mastered this step 1, I'd encourage you to go check out the rest of my crochet series for absolute beginners and some of the other projects that I have on the channel. Happy crocheting!